Have you ever noticed how a single negative thought can hijack your entire mood for hours, even days? One small worry in the morning, one awkward moment, one sentence someone said the wrong way, and suddenly your mind is stuck replaying it like a broken record. You try to distract yourself. You tell yourself to stop thinking about it. You even try to think positive, but the loop keeps running. Here's the strange part. That thought isn't actually as powerful as it feels. It's being kept alive by something much simpler and much more mechanical than you realize. In your brain, every emotional reaction has a chemical lifespan, a built-in timer. And for most negative emotions, that timer is about 90 seconds. Not an hour, not a whole day, not your entire personality. 90 seconds. So why do negative states last so long? Because after the first 90 seconds, the emotion is no longer running on chemistry. It's running on attention. You're not feeling the original reaction anymore. You're re-triggering it again and again by the way you think about it. In other words, the first wave is automatic. The loop is optional. And once you understand this, you gain access to a simple mental switch, a way to let the emotion complete its natural cycle, instead of trapping yourself inside it. That switch is what I call the 90-second trick. When a negative thought hits, fear, embarrassment, anger, sadness, your brain releases a burst of chemicals into your bloodstream. Adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. They prepare your body to react. Heart rate changes, muscles tighten, breathing shifts, attention narrows. This is the survival system doing exactly what it evolved to do. But here's the part most people don't know. Those chemicals naturally flush out of your system in about 60 to 90 seconds. They rise, they peak, they fall, like a wave. The body cannot stay chemically flooded forever. It's too costly. So, the nervous system is designed to return to baseline. If you did nothing at all, no thinking, no replaying, no judging, no imagining what could happen next, the emotion would physically dissolve on its own. The problem is, your mind rarely does nothing. The moment the first wave hits, your thoughts jump in. What if this happens again? Why did I say that? What does this mean about me? What if things get worse? Each of these thoughts sends a new signal to the brain. Release the chemicals again. This is still important. This is still a threat. So the 90-second cycle restarts, and restarts, and restarts. It's like pressing the replay button on an alarm system. Not because the danger is still there, but because your thinking keeps telling the brain that it is. This is why negative states feel endless. Not because the emotion is strong, but because the loop is fast. Your mind becomes a trigger generator. One thought creates a feeling. The feeling creates another thought. The thought creates another chemical wave. And soon, you're no longer reacting to reality. You're reacting to your own internal movie. This is also why trying to think positive often fails. Because you're still engaging the loop. You're still wrestling with the thought. You're still giving it attention. And attention is fuel. The brain doesn't care if the attention is positive or negative. It only cares if something is being marked as important. What keeps a loop alive is not the emotion itself. It's the mental commentary around it, the replay, the analysis, the story you tell about what the emotion means. And this is where the 90-second trick becomes powerful. Because it doesn't try to fight the thought. It doesn't try to replace it. It doesn't try to reason with it. Instead, it changes the one thing that keeps the loop going. Your relationship to the chemical wave. There is a small window most people miss. It happens right after the emotion is triggered, but before the mind turns it into a story. In that window, your body is reacting, but your thoughts haven't fully taken over yet. This is where the 90-second trick works. The moment you feel the first surge, the tight chest, the sinking stomach, the rush of heat, the wave of sadness or anxiety, you don't analyze it. You don't label it. You don't ask why. You don't follow the thought. You shift your attention from meaning to sensation. Instead of, what does this mean about me? You go to, where exactly do I feel this in my body? Is it in the throat, the chest, the stomach, the jaw, the shoulders? Then you simply watch the sensation like a scientist. No story, no judgment, no attempt to change it. Just, This is what anxiety feels like. This is what embarrassment feels like. This is what sadness feels like. And you let the clock run, not in your head, in your body. You breathe slowly. You stay present. You let the wave rise and fall. Here's what happens. Because you're not feeding the emotion with interpretation, the brain does not receive the signal to release a second chemical wave. The original 90-second cycle completes, and then something subtle but powerful happens. The intensity drops. Not because you forced it, but because the system finished its job. This teaches the brain something new. An emotion can be felt without being amplified. A signal can pass without becoming a loop. Safety does not require mental replay. Each time you allow an emotion to fully complete without mental commentary, you weaken the habit of rumination. The loop loses momentum. You're no longer fighting thoughts, you're letting chemistry finish. And that's the difference between suppression and release. At first, the 90-second trick feels almost too simple. You notice the emotion, you feel it in the body. You don't tell a story about it. You let it rise and fall. And that's it. But what you're really doing is training a new reflex. Every time you allow an emotional wave to complete without mental replay, you teach your brain a powerful lesson. This sensation does not require a narrative. This feeling does not require protection. This moment does not require looping. The brain is a prediction machine. It learns from what happens after a signal. If every emotional signal is followed by rumination, the brain predicts rumination. If an emotional signal is followed by presence and completion, the brain predicts safety. So the next time a similar thought appears, the loop starts weaker, shorter, quieter, not because you controlled it, but because you changed what usually comes after it. Over time, the nervous system begins to trust that emotions can pass on their own. And when that trust builds, something shifts. Thoughts lose their urgency. Sensations lose their grip. The mind stops clinging. You still feel, you still care, you still think, but you don't spiral. Because the moment your brain learned to respect the 90-second cycle, it stopped mistaking temporary chemistry for permanent meaning. That's the real trick. Not suppressing thoughts, not forcing positivity, not escaping feelings, just letting the wave finish. And when a wave finishes, it doesn't loop.